Hello and welcome to our English news edition coming to you from Canal, Algérie. To the headlines. The revised statute of the education servants is highly appreciated since it meets their professional and social expectations. The economic harvest of the year is spotlighted in our bulletin, notably in terms of growth and investment law meant to remove all hindrances. And Morocco is in straits as international organizations are calling for the release of the Riffian prisoners. And the local tourist destinations are mesmerizing the Algerians by the end of the current year 2022. Good evening, those were the headlines. First, and according to the Minister of Education, the draft bill related to the particular statute of the sector's employees respond to the social, professional and pedagogical requirements. More details with Melissa Kovash.
A novelty has been added to the statute related to the education sector servants. This amendment came in favor of the employees in response to the social, professional and pedagogical requirements. The statute includes several measures in favor of teachers, notably the reduction of hours of the 3 cycles according to teachers' age and experience, the exemption of non-pedagogical works, the re-establishment of the pedagogical authority of the teacher, in addition to the promotion procedures. It also involves the creation of positions which will be assigned according to the status of each teacher, taking in charge the health issues stemming from their work and bring teachers closer to their homes. The fundamental statute will guarantee the well-being of the educational sector's workers by improving their professional conditions through a balanced and fair path that will preserve their rights.
And the year 2022 witnessed the introduction of several measures, namely in the economic sector, to boost its development. The investment law adopted in July is one of the most important steps taken during this year, alongside the numbers registered in other projects. Melissa Kovash once again.
The year 2022 is qualified as a purely economic year, following the establishment of an important legal arsenal so as to relaunch the country's economy. In fact, it was during this year that the investment code was adopted, a long-awaited code by the economic operators, especially that it encourages the setting up of new partnerships to mobilize the financial resources and technological means to ensure sustainable economic development, taking into consideration the ecological security and the social development needs. Another achievement was the installation of the National Agency of Investment Promotion, as well as a single platform. The investment law that comes into effect starting from January 2023 aims to complete the process of construction of a sound economy that will face all the imposed challenges due to the new world order. This law introduces facilitations in the importation of tourist vehicles of less than 3 years. It's the first time in our country's history that a finance law provides an immense budget of $89.5 billion. More than $10 billion will be dedicated for the increase of wages, retirement pension, and the unemployment allowance. This year has also been marked by the comeback of the Algerian Production Fair, with the participation of more than 700 public and private companies, alongside more than 300,000 visitors. The finance sector also announced the opening of new bank agencies abroad and the digitization of the banking activity. 2022 constituted a new challenge in terms of controlling inflation. The value of foreign Algerian reserves this year exceeded $60 billion, while $7 billion of exports outside hydrocarbons were recorded.
And in another topic, Algeria is committed to fight corruption. The Minister of Justice announced that the state will keep its promise to recover the embezzled funds. Story by Ines Kilou.
The operation to recover misappropriated assets launched by the various state bodies 3 years ago has borne its fruit with the recovery of no less than $20 billion at the national level. This has been achieved through the continuation of judicial procedures for the seizure and confiscation of assets throughout the country. As a reminder, the judiciary has, among others, confiscated houses, tourist properties and luxury houses in various provinces of the country. Dozens of factories, particularly cars assembly plants, were also seized, as well as jewelry and precious stones, 6,447 bank accounts, 203 vehicles of all types, 23,774 mobile assets, 425 houses, and 14 property were recovered. Recalling that all the details of this assessment are contained in 1,400-page report and that new figures will be provided in due course. The Minister of Justice highlighted the difficulties encountered at the start of this operation, particularly at the international level. In this regard, the Minister of Justice announced that 224 rogatory letters had been issued for this purpose in 30 countries. It goes without saying that the state intends to continue the operation to recover the assets of the Algerian people, which began in 2019. Abdelrashid Tabbi recalled the importance of informing the public opinion about the recovery and the process of recovering these misappropriated funds.
On Wednesday, the President of the National People's Assembly stressed the necessity to elaborate transparent and clear laws so as to allow the media to play their role of informing people. Brahim Boughali made this statement during a study day on the rules of public service in the media legislation in Algeria, organized at the Assembly's premises. In cooperation, the President of the National People's Assembly received on Wednesday the ambassador of the countries taking part in the 17th Conference of the States Councils Unions of member countries of the Islamic Cooperation Organization. In other development, Prime Minister Ayman bin Abdurrahman chaired on Wednesday a meeting of the government during which several points were examined concerning higher education and scientific research. A presentation was made by the sector's minister on training and scientific research in the field of seawater desalination. In the same context, he also made another presentation on the creation of the seawater desalination sector in the nomenclature of training offers. Finally, in the youth and sports sector, the government listened to a presentation relating to professionalism in football, as well as the perspectives of reform to be undertaken. In another development, the Interior Ministry announced a series of measures meant to grant more facilitations in issuing visas for foreign tourists willing to visit the southern Algeria. To this effect, tourists can accomplish the relevant procedures via the travel agencies and upon their arrival to the border gates of the southern provinces in coordination with the different sectorial and ministerial departments. The participants in the National Symposium devoted to the long and lofty career of the late Houari Boumediene, organized at the International Conference Center, proposed a series of recommendations held under the patronage of the President of the Republic, Abdelmajid Tebboune, under the motto, Houari Boumediene, a statesman with the determination of a nation, an event also marked by a call to create a foundation bearing the name of the late Houari Boumediene and the institution of a prize for scientific research, and also produce a movie on his revolutionary and political struggle, as well as the restoration of the archives, documents and personal belongings of the late president. As part of the sustained efforts in fighting terrorism and organized crime, units and detachments of the National People's Army carried out across the country several operations crowned with quality results that reflect the high professionalism, vigilance and availability of our armed forces. 5 support elements of terrorist groups were arrested, while a handmade bomb was seized and destroyed by another unit of the National People's Army during a common operation in Tbilisi province. In the same context of the fight against organized crime, combined detachments of the National People's Army, in coordination with the different security services, arrested 33 drug traffickers and thwarted attempts to introduce immense quantities of drugs from the borders with Morocco, amounting to 5 quintals and 31 kilograms of treated cannabis, and seized 342 grams of cocaine and more than 162,000 psychotropic tablets. In Tamarasset, Borj Baji Mukhtar, Ingizam, Janet and Tindouf, detachments of the National People's Army intercepted 324 individuals and seized 15 vehicles, 143 generators, 64 jackhammers, 9 metal detectors, as well as other detonation tools used in illegal mining operations. 5 other individuals were arrested and 5 automatic pistols, a Kalashnikov, a loaded magazine, 6 shotguns were seized, in addition to 23 tons of foodstuffs intended for smuggling and speculation. 205,000 packets of tobacco and more than 3,000 units of different beverages were also seized during several operations carried out across the country. For their part, the border police, in coordination with the services of the National Gendarmerie, foiled attempts to smuggle large quantities of fuel amounting to 29,000 liters in Borj Baji Mukhtar, Tbilisi, Suqahras and Atarif. The Coast Guards, on the other hand, thwarted illegal immigration attempts and rescued 259 individuals on board of homemade boats, while 90 illegal immigrants of different nationalities were also arrested throughout the national territory. In a different story, the artist Mustafa Zamiri passed away on Wednesday at the age of 83 after a long illness. The late was born on the 1st of November 1939 in Algiers, joined the Arts Institute in 1962, where he studied singing, composing and recitation before participating in many operas and creating some timely artworks and songs forever engraved in Algeria's musical heritage. Moving on to the international news, military operations continue along the Wall of Shame in Western Sahara. New attacks were carried out by the Sahrawi Liberation Army against positions of the Moroccan occupation forces in the Mahbas sector. Pointing the finger on Morocco once again for its violations of human rights, Amnesty International is calling for the release of Riffian prisoners like the activist Nasser Zefzafi. Ines Kilou reports.
In October 2016, a young Moroccan fishmonger was crushed by a rubbish truck while trying to retrieve his goods seized by the authorities, a tragedy that urged thousands of people to go out and peacefully express their anger and frustration. The popular movement in the Rif region was born out of the people's frustration and desire for change. In the months followed, Moroccan security forces arrested hundreds of demonstrators, including the emblematic figure of the protest movement Nasser Zefzafi, who was sentenced 2 years in prison. Since then, voices have been raised around the world calling for the release of the Rif detainees. Amnesty International, human rights defenders, political and trade union voices in Morocco reiterated the call yesterday to pressure the Makhzen into releasing the Rif Hirak detainees and all the opinion prisoners in Morocco. This latest demand comes after an international campaign which has received thousands of emails reminding the Moroccan government that Zefzafi's arrests and conviction were unacceptable, while calling for his immediate release.
Back to national news. During this time of the year, many people prefer to travel, and the Algerian Sahara Desert tops the list of the favorite destinations for both the local and foreign travelers enthusiasts. Story by Najah Tayar.
Opening the door to a new year is a very special and emotional period where both Algerians and foreigners prefer to pass it traveling and enjoying the beauty and various charms of the Algerian land.
My favorite places, I'm a beach person, so I'm gonna say cities that has beaches. I'll say I want to go to the Sahara. I never went there, but I expect to go there, inshallah. I want to go there, inshallah. Algeria is an adventure. We're going to live such a great adventure. Us, people who live here, and we are living that adventure. Imagine someone who doesn't even know it.
Okay, so I wouldn't say many places. I've only visited one city, which is Béjaïa. I've been there for a few days with my uncle. And it's one of the best, I think, one of the best cities in Algeria, tourism-wise. Bahrain is more vivid in these occasions, so I would love to visit Bahrain one day.
I didn't visit a lot of places in Algeria, but I would say that Oumardas is a beautiful place. It has many people in there. Also, winter or in summer is the same thing. And I would say that the tourism in Algeria is so underrated because having the visa to visit Algeria is so hard. So you have to do a lot of work to visit Algeria, and it's worth it actually because it's a very beautiful place.
To find the best travel experience, considering money and trip program, the customers seek social media and travel agencies.
Most of Algerians nowadays, they like Algerian programs, Algerian destinations rather than other destinations. They now discovered, for example, this season is the Sahara season, so they choose Tamanrasset, Janet, Tarit as well as their favorite destination. There are a lot of foreigners coming, especially the new flight that I made from France to Janet.
Worth to mention that the health situation witnessed by the whole world made Algeria the only travel destination that allowed the citizens to discover Algeria and favor it, especially with the great development of the tourism sector. We observed that the number of Algerians who pass their vacations in Algeria has increased. Trips to Sahara are so demanded in this period of the year. During this season, our customers choose organized trips to Saoura, Biskra, Tamanrast and Janet. In 2021, we opened a tourist residency in Tarit, which is still operational and is full of tourists for now. Algeria abounds with stunning landscapes and rich cultural legacy. In addition to its inhabitants' hospitality and great generosity, it keeps mesmerizing tourists hailing from the four corners of the world.
A trip now to the Algerian south, more precisely to Janet province, where we can find there the market of Janet that gathers many traditional jewelry workshops passed on from one generation to another. Let's discover more with Najah Tayar.
The market of Janet is one of the most special markets in the region, where you meet the craftsmen who display their handmade masterpieces which they make in their shops. This is a piece of coin that I turned into a ring. A very good work takes up to 4 days. Numerous tourists come to this region. Slowly and patiently, the craftsmen make and instill the craft to their children, and their skill in turning gold or silver into ornaments and jewelry that symbolize something from the Targi people life. I made this piece of accessory for men to be worn in marriages, accompanying the other accessories of the Tuareg, and this is a necklace for women that is called Khumeisa. The beauty of these jewelry pieces displayed is one of the means to understand a bit of the Tuareg secrets in the craft field.
And with that, we wrap up our day's news edition. Thank you for watching and goodbye.